For now, our next speaker.
Okay, thank you very much to invite me, Claes and Sudi, and I'm very proud to be on the Gulfstream Memorial Lecture. I thought it was very tough to speak about accommodation because it's something that we still doesn't very well understand. And why we speak about accommodation? Because when you lose accommodation, you know that's very important. And in Switzerland, as a little country, 7 million of inhabitants, we have already 2 million of Presbymania. In USA, we have 70 millions. In South America, we have 115 millions. And the number is increasing because the baby boomer become older. And the population want to avoid glasses. And the population has a lot of money. So I think it's very important to know what accommodation means. And like you know, all the lady, when you start to wear a pair of glasses, they sign the 40 age. That's a disaster. So let's go. I just take the Wikipedia definition, and when you read that, it's a process by which the vertebrate, and I was amazing that vertebrate, so a lot of animals like human have an accommodation. Birds, lizards, and a lot of different eyes have the accommodation. And it's to maintain the clear image focus on an object as it is distance vary. It's also funny that if you look at the story of the accommodation, it started only on the 16th century with Kepler, who gave a good anatomy and say that it's not anymore the lens who catch the image, but the retina. That was the first step. And Descartes do a very good anatomy system, and Dundas also, it's a German physician who do that. And in 1855, Helmholtz do a very big book, and he write on the accommodation only 30 pages. But that was the main progress. And from 1858 till now, the theory was quite good. Only Channing say that, Helmholtz say that the accommodation is the lens come further in the front, and the muscle becomes strains. That's the three things. Channing says that it's impossible if the lens come further on the iris. It needs to be 10 millimeters, and he was against this theory. And only in 2006, Chacha comes and refute the Helmholtz theory, and he was wrong. And Glaser showed that in a physiology system. But what is interesting is that Chacha pushed the booming of knowing the accommodation, because he refuted the Helmholtz theory. So now I read a very good book of the SFOs, the French ophthalmology system, the 18 book, the book, and this conference is on this system. When you look at the anatomy, that's a student system. You can see that the ciliary corpus, iris, and the lens is not very well described. Here it's a little better, and it's Vogt, a Swiss ophthalmologist who do this design. So, what is the anatomy of the accommodation? And it's very simple. You have the sclera, the ciliary body, the sclera spure, which is very important, iris, cornea, lens, and capsule. And we will study all this system. Here, after Sciascia say that Helmholtz's theory was bad, the anatomists start to study a little better all this region. And you can see that's a very well anatomy's cup. And here, when you see all this ciliary process, and you can imagine the zonal, the different type of zonal where it's attached on the capsule and on the lens and the ciliary body, so you can understand a little better how it's work. When we speak about the reflex of the accommodation, you have the parasympathetic who give the accommodation and the convergence and the contraction of the pupilla. What is the function of accommodation? It's the eye adjusts the optical power at the viewing distance for a clear region. It must increase the power when it passes from far view to near view. And in this theory, you see a gaze is carried out by the change of curvature of two faces of the lens, which is wrong, because you have really one face in the front and not the rear. So that's one theory. The lens is changing the face, but not the posterior one. That's the Glaser accommodation physiology. You can see that when the muscle is relaxed, the lens is this curvature, and then when you see the curvature is changing, and this is changing and go in the front, and the muscle strain, and the zonal strain also. And we have done a tremendous better understanding of the accommodation with the OCT, and you can see here how it's work for far and for near. And I will show you something more better. That's in the upper side. It's a young guy from 10 years. You can see all the lens come up inside the anterior chamber, the iris bone, and here you see an old guy like me, 55 years old, and you can see the decreasing of the lens which coming up inside the anterior chamber. And that's a real big difference. So to understand a little more the deformation of the lens when you have an accommodation, you can see the blue one is the far view and the red one is the near view. You can see also when it's non-accommodated, it's 10 millimeters. The posterior face is 6 millimeters. When you have the accommodation max, you have 6 millimeters and 5 millimeters of the posterior lens. We think that the ciliary muscle, you have two different ciliary muscles. They are not antagonists. You have the ciliary muscle fibers from Müller and the radial muscle fiber from Brücke. They work all together and they are not antagonists. That's something new. When the ciliary muscle contracts, the radial muscle contract too, and that's pretty new for me. They're acting on the zonal of which relax, resulting of the anterior face of the lens bubble thanks to this elasticity. And that's also something new for me. You have an elasticity inside the lens, and that's why it's so fast. And the lens goes in front. So that's the lens, that's the capsule, and both are elastic. They have a own form, and when you put that all together, you have some force inside the lens. And that's why they react so fast. And I didn't understand that, just I understand that for this presentation. The second thing is that you have your scleral spur, your longitudinal muscle, and the radial muscle. And then you have three types of zone: equatorial, posterior, and anterior. And this spur is where the longitudinal is. And here it's not, is when it's contract, is the attachment is here. So you have different type of zonal, and that's why the lens coming in the front. So let's go to the dynamic. When you see for far, you have the under tension, you have the zonal, which is tense. Everything which is in red is tense, and everything which is in blue is not tense. So the muscle is doesn't do anything. And here in the lens, you have some tension, and the capsule is tense. Now, when you look for near, everything which is in red is tense, so the muscle is tense. The lens inside is tense. The capsule is relaxed, not here, and the rest of the lens is not tense. And the zonal is not tense. So that's a very good understanding of the accommodation. And it's a lot of things which work all together. And with this schematic system, we can understand quite better how works the accommodation. I will just show you again how it's working. So, vision for far, muscle relax, then tension, and you have the lens which become bigger and in the front. And vision for far again. And that's the accommodation. What's happened when we become older? Ta-da! So the vision for far, the lens become harder, and the tension inside the lens doesn't exist anymore. And so for far, you have always the same focus. And for near, it doesn't work anymore as well as here. So you lose the elasticity of the lens little by little. Ta-da! And I with this very good book from the French Society. I think they have done a tremendous work to understand how the accommodation works, because just 2 or 3 years before, I really didn't understand how accommodations works really. And I'm very thankful for Professor Rona to have done this work. I'm sorry. So when you use your punctum proximum, you become presbyopia. And everybody knows this problem and this curve. And I just want to introduce the next speaker about spherical aberration, the death of focus, because it's one of solution for the future. And Patty will speak about that. And if you don't understand what Patty says,